Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam. I'm founder of Aurox. At Aurox, we use drones and phones to get precise measurements of dairy feed at dairy farms and help them optimize their highest cost. Now, you may be wondering, what do drones and cows have to do with an asteroid? Are we going to fly some cows to space? No, not quite. I have that picture there as an interesting point of introspection for Aurox, because almost 6 years ago, I presented on this very stage for Startup Tech Valley, shortly after starting the company. And at that point in time, we were proposing using technology from NASA to measure the density of feed at dairy farms. Ultimately, it didn't exactly work out, and so we put Aurox to rest for a few years. Then a few years ago, around 2021, I went full-time back into Aurox while also deciding to digital nomad around South America. So most of the progress you'll see here has been done on the back of a motorcycle or hostel on a mountainside. But ultimately it worked. We went from 10,000 cows, just starting out those 3 years ago, to over 1.5 million cows throughout the US. That's about 20% of the US market across 30 states, Mexico, and South America. Most recently, we've been flying a lot of drones over New Jersey, generally at nighttime. No, I'm only kidding. That last part about New Jersey, that is just a joke, but the rest of it is true. So what do we measure? We measure that feed. That feed is cut crop from hay or corn. The cows eat that feed, and then they produce milk. Why is this a problem? Why are we solving this problem? Ultimately, feed at a dairy farm is over 50% of that dairy farm's total cost. They can lose up to 20% of that on an annual basis. That picture you see right there, those are huge piles of feed that they cut and they store there from the fields. And so for this example, just this individual farm, that's $5 million worth of feed. Now the problem is they don't have any way to measure that. They don't have any way to forecast how much they're going to use when they're going to run out of it. And they definitely don't have any way to measure the amount of shrink that they're losing. Now imagine that as a business, you have a certain amount of inventory that's over 50% of your cost, and you don't know how much you have, you don't know when you're going to run out of it, and you don't know how much you're losing. All those things we can now do with Aurox for dairy farms. How do we do that? First step is our customers have a drone. They go out to the farm, they fly the drone, completely automated, 15 minutes, super easy to do, collects a number of images. They upload those images to our platform. We process that data and provide it back to them. Our solution comes down to two core features that are available right now. First is the inventory dashboard. This dashboard provides them this data, total feed inventory, forecast, customizable forecast. They can measure density. Remember that metric that we were going to use a NASA sensor for. We can now do that with drones and also some data from the farms, and we can also measure shrink. So ultimately what this does is it helps them give them some insight on their highest cost of operation. Number two, our other core feature is the measure and create feature. So this is the most recent innovation of ours and the one I'm most excited about, and we've been getting a ton of really good feedback. So what this does is that it allows them to measure pretty much anything on their farm in 3D, but that's not really the most impactful part. The most impactful part, which you're about to see here, is the creation of 3D virtual shapes of piles and bunks. Now, there's actually a lot of science that goes into the structure of these piles and bunks. The piles and bunks are essentially how they store the feed on the dairy farm, like these big piles, these big bunks, and it's directly correlated to the density of that feed and the shrink of the feed. So if you can optimize this process where they're taking that $5 million of feed from the field and compacting it in these piles over about 3 weeks, a couple times a year, then where there's an opportunity to save 5 to 10% in shrink, which on an average customer for us is around $100,000, but potentially significantly more. A couple other solutions coming up soon is our mobile solution. So this is going to be more geared towards smaller farms with smaller piles. There'll be a height limitation on the pile, but it increases our scalability of this solution significantly, especially to our customers in South America and future international markets, where a lot of the farms are smaller and the barrier to entry with a drone may be more challenging. The other solution coming up soon is the no camera needed. So think of those 3D shapes, the ability to optimize the harvests, putting that on a 2D map, and you get a lot of the benefit out of being able to optimize your harvest without actually having to fly a drone over your farm. So our market so far has been pretty much all commercial agriculture. Like I said, around 20% of the US and growing quickly in South America. Our drone solution addressable market are really farms over 500 cows, but with the non-drone solutions coming up, we anticipate that to significantly increase our market share ultimately what this means, we have just scratched the surface with deploying this solution, and there's really no true competition. There's lots of people out there with drones doing 3D measurements, but not really addressing these key problems that dairy farms face, and especially not the 3D side of it, of being able to plan your harvests and optimize them. So our customers range from big global multinational companies to smaller regional dairy nutritionists and consultants. Some of those, for example, Cargill, Lalman, Arm & Hammer, Ben & Jerry's, you might recognize those names. Ultimately, what it's come to is we've formed really good partnerships and collaborative environments with these customers, and they've really come to trust us to bring technology and solutions to them. It's really, I think, put Aurox in a great spot to be an innovator within this industry. Almost every conversation we have with these customers, they say, hey, can you solve this problem for us? Can you do this for us? And it's because, sadly, this industry is just kind of, there hasn't been a lot of innovation. There just hasn't been a lot of technical solutions for so many problems that need to be solved. And that's where I think Aurox can really have a good fit with our current solutions and our future solutions. So our team has been just really lean and mean. It's been me, a couple of rotating engineers, and then our advisors have been like the leaders in the research around what it means to have density from a certain size pile and so forth. So we've got a strong team, especially on the dairy side, and being able to convert a lot of this information, this technical information, to the language of the farmer, which is ultimately one of the greatest challenges in this industry. But ultimately what I'm coming to today is not necessarily a financial investment, it's more of a brain investment. So I think we've reached a level of sophistication with our technology, with our customers, and the potential to scale our technology, but we're kind of limiting within our team and our experience on our team to do some of these things. So what we're ultimately looking for is a robust full stack developer that can come on our team, help us lead some of these projects, or more of a technical advisor or fractional CTO role that can help us with building out that team, scaling the technology, and growing Aurox and helping us scale the technology further. So with that, I appreciate the time, and hope everyone has a happy holiday.
Thanks so much, Adam. I don't know if you remember me, but I remember you 6 years ago.
Absolutely,
It's great to see you. Could you just talk a little bit more about, you said that customers come to you with problems all the time, right? They're like, hey, can you solve this for us? Could you just talk about when you choose to follow that lead and when you choose to say like, oh, I shouldn't spend my time on that. I really need to focus on the solution that I have.
Certainly. So it's tough because it's always very exciting to think about trying to solve these problems. I think generally it's just, is it feasible for our team to take that on? And of course we'll do our due diligence and do some customer discovery and start to dig into it. There's a number of things that we've been like, hey, should we try this out? And we kind of dabble into it and then realize it's gonna be way too complex. There's not enough demand for it. All across the board. It just comes to that kind of like entrepreneurship, customer discovery of like, is this going to be a good solution or not? And is this something that we want to focus on? And that's why it comes to this ask, is because we do have a couple of those coming up and it's like, wait, we need some more help on this. So that's why I have the ask today.
Thank you for this great presentation. What you're asked to join the team, what will these positions help you do and what vision will they help you realize?
Ultimately, I think, so all that I was talking about with how many problems there are to solve in this industry and how much opportunity there is to grow. So both with our existing solution today, there's so much more potential to grow that further, and I think a lot of that comes down to making the platform and the solution more scalable and building out a team that can support that. And also being able to pursue kind of more technically some of these other potential projects that are coming up beyond the knowledge base of our existing team to essentially just make things go faster.